Thank you, our Honorable Ministers, Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar and Sri Piyush Goyal, for joining us as well. I jokingly tell them this is their event because they are mainstays at the ET Startup Awards. Thank you to our winners and all of our esteemed guests for joining us. The Economic Times Startup Awards began in 2015, and 8 years ago, you take a look back at how things have changed, it's pretty remarkable. At that time, we dreamed of a vision of one day having 10,000 startups in India. Today, we have over 1 lakh startups. Cumulatively, the startup ecosystem in India has raised over just about $100 billion, and we have over 100 unicorns resulting out of this. Now, as we know, it's not all roses, and the last year has demonstrated that it's not always that easy to scale up. And yet, at the same time, I think it's brought out the best of our ecosystem, because leaders who were earlier pushed to grow, and worry about profitability and sustainability later are now put in a position where they have to demonstrate the ability to build real, lasting, sustainable, and responsible companies. And ultimately, the companies that come out of it will be stronger, weather-tested, and better as a result of all of it. It's pretty funny. For me, I'm very lucky because I get to attend both the Economic Times Startup Awards, but also the Economic Times Awards for Corporate Excellence. And 5 years ago, when you would attend both of these events, there was a very interesting vibe between the two, because you'd go to the corporate events, the Corporate Excellence Awards for traditional companies, and they would look at startups sort of like the way parents look at children. They're like, oh, it's very cute, these are nice companies, valuation, this, that, but they're not real companies. And they have a long way to go before they can actually be something that will last. And the Startup Awards were the opposite. They were the children. They had this rebelliousness, sort of like a teenager that would say, these old companies don't get it, we're gonna change the world, the future is the way we're gonna build it, and we're gonna be the disruptors. And in the last year, there's been this interesting convergence of the two, because the young companies have grown up and they've had to demonstrate that they can build real, lasting, responsible companies. But more interesting than that is that the traditional companies have started to recognize the relevance and give real respect to the startup ecosystem. As we've seen startups not only go public, but after going public, weather challenging public markets, demonstrate paths to profitability, and build lasting, strong businesses. Today, more than ever before, we see traditional companies seeking to imbibe the spirit of entrepreneurialism, of disruption, of challenging the status quo, of using new technology, and reinventing themselves. So today, this event is about celebrating startups and celebrating the winners of this year's awards who are growing in new ways as well. But I think this event is actually not just about that, but it's really about celebrating the spirit of entrepreneurialism and the spirit of challenging the status quo. And what makes me excited and proud is to see that what started as an event to celebrate these young companies is now celebrating a spirit of change that affects not just the new age companies, but the overall Indian ecosystem as a whole. So please join me today in congratulating our winners and celebrating this spirit of entrepreneurialism.